So welcome once again to the Dapr community call. My name is Mark Fussell. I'm a Dapr maintainer and an STC member. It's wonderful to have you here on this January month on our community call number 97. It won't be long till we get to number 100. We have an excellent lineup today. Most exciting is we have Massimo Santin, who's come to talk to us from Tempestive, who's going to talk about a case study where he's used Dapr with IoT solutions. And then we'll dive into a little bit of an agenda about the upcoming Dapr Day with Cecil. Mark will go through his usual fantastic lineup of what's happened in the Dapr community world in the last couple of weeks. And then if there's questions at the end, feel free to open up your mic and ask them or post them in the channel. So with that, I am going to hand over to Massimo and take it away.
Okay, thank you. 1 second that I share the screen. This one. You are able to see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I talk about our experience with Dapr in the IoT field. A few words about me. I'm old. I'm the founder of Tempestive, that is a software development company founded 25 years ago. And in this company, I have several roles. It's not a big company, but we have a very technical expertise. We are basically a company that make integration services, implementation of distributed system and software. We work on IoT field from the founding, basically, and are using data analytics, artificial intelligence in this field, right? Personally, I'm a software and software architect. I'm guilty about the choice of Dapr, by the way. We have experienced different application area, banking and finance, manufacturing. IoT is especially active in the manufacturing area, logistics and utilities. Personally, I have early experience in electronic design many years ago. This one is very, now I'm not more able because the technology advanced, but I'm able to talk with people that design devices to make the better decision on the hardware and the firmware side, even if we don't have any direct involvement in that. Okay. Tempestive, I already say that, it was founded 25 years ago. Our company are enterprise and SMB companies. Our IoT product was dedicated more to SMB companies. The product is called Nuboy. Is not a platform, is really a product, is something that you can buy and you can install, configure out of the box, ready to run, dedicated to commercial IoT. What is commercial IoT? Is IoT, not industrial IoT, but IoT dedicated to device manufacturers. Basically, when you build a machine or device, you can connect the device with this product and to have a lot of insights and information about the running of the device. The idea is this is an intelligent IoT product that collects and analyzes data from connected machine. It transforms this data in something useful to improve the business of the company, right? It's something that it seems clear, but often is not so clear. What we do is not only to collect data, but to give insight to implement some process about digital transformation of the company and the products. Another nice thing is that our product is have no dedicated type of devices. We have very different type of devices, but we have an abstract model that basically make that every device is similar. We work on professional ovens, fridges, pellet stoves that in Europe is very common, especially in the central part of Europe, like Italy, France, and Germany. We are working on some medical device like operating tables and devices for physiotherapy. And we have the dog collars too that we are managing in that. Today, we have more than 80K devices that is growing, managed by the last version, that is version 6. Okay, these are some picture of devices that we are able to manage, like that we manage actually. One is a pellet stove. Is something that is common in Central Europe, I expect, is a stove that burn pellet that are very small balls of wood, pressed wood. Then we have some interesting physiotherapics machines, physiotherapy, that are using advanced technology to rebuild damaged cells. They have at the moment a study on in vitro for something that we are able to solve problem of arthrosis, and they are able to recreate the cell using some characteristic of the cell, the damaged cells, and we connect these devices to our IoT solution to understand how the therapy is running, to collect the health information for the customer. Another interesting device is the operating table. Operating table is not a table; it's really a robot with a lot of microelectronics and micromechanics. Sorry. Oh, and micromechanics, right? Very compact, very interesting technology. When I first time I was contacted by this company, I thought that operating table is a table. No, it's a robot that can have a lot of position. You can manage the patient during the operation and put in some strange position to operate better the things. It's something that is impressive. If you see an operation, it can be really impressive. To explain, this table have a starting cost of 100K euros. It's not a cheap device. Then we have some other gym machine or some other type of ovens, for example, but we have dishwashing machine, washing machine, a lot of machine using the Eureka field, and not only Eureka. Then now we are working in other sectors like a vending machine, for example. Another thing that I can say too much now, but if you contact me in here, I can talk about it. And the last device is very interesting, is the dog. We developed a sort of Fitbit for the dog, right? And we are measuring how much the dog moves, because a dog that run and hop is a healthy dog. And this one is interesting because the business model is interesting. Basically, this company is a chain of pet shop that sell food, for example, or services like cleaning service. I don't know the name in English, but to clean up the dog or some other pets. They have a training service, and then they have a sort of health check services. You like to control your car, that you periodically need to control the car. Okay, you go to control your dog periodically. And when the vet open the health card, you see not only the information that you have in this system, but the information that was collected during the normal activity of the dog during the day, and are able to understand if the dog has problem or not. It's like to change the oil into the machine, right? Okay. Before Salaboy 6, the version 6, we have different versions that were totally cloud-based. Basically, we use the version 5 and 4 use the Azure Service Fabric. Service Fabric was very expensive for us, especially for the SMB customer. It was expensive and very difficult to manage and to developing, debugging the software. Okay, it's something that our programmer don't like it, but okay. The maintenance part were tedious too. We are talking about the version of Dapr that change with a good pace, right? But changing the version, upgrade the version of Dapr is very easy. Upgrade the version Service Fabric is not so easy. And sometimes you have some strange problem to manage. Okay. By this, we decide to move to a new completely rewritten version. Okay, this one is the actual version, the version 6. Is a decision that I personally took because I thought that after 4 years we reached the end of the cycle for this project. Dapr, I tried different. I tried to investigate different technologies, and I choose to rewrite the system using Dapr as one of the main technology that we need to use. Okay, that I want to use. We have several goals to here. We need to run on multiple platforms, on-premise, on cloud, especially because many customers ask to have the solution, even a SaaS model, but into their system for privacy problems and for example, for the health customer is very difficult sometimes justify to have the data out of the hospital, for example, right? And we need to have something that run on premise. We need to be more modular because the interdependence between the services was too strong and basically too much related to the base technology. And we have some sort of microservices, but not so modular. Another problem another goal that we have is to simplify development, simplify deploy, and have a easier management. And I think that using Dapr, we are able to reach these goals. Security was another thing. We are ISO 27001 certified. And sometime really we need to manage this part of security because we need to have that. For example, if you work with the public sector, or we work to health service, but it's something that is very important for every company now. And the new version of 27001 certification address that much more. We need to have better responsiveness, and we want to have a solution that is faster, cheaper. This is our goal. After some tests, I try to explain after if you want, but I designed now in Boy 6, I'm the main architect really, and we choose to use this type of technology, basically Dapr. We are able to create a solution that use more granular microservices. Another nice thing was the use of Kubernetes. Nice or not, or perhaps sometimes not agree with me, but because Kubernetes is not so simple. And what we have done that we have tried success to run some of our project on the small version of Kubernetes in edge devices too. K3S for someone that know about that. The customer, in this way, the customer can choose where to run it. If the customer want to have the solution into its data center, is possible. Anyway, we manage centrally the solution because the solution is sold as a SaaS or as a license, but we sell the management of the. In any way, we sell the management and the upgrade of the platform too. we manage the solution directly to the system, the client, using some open source tool. For example, one tool that we are using is a Rancher in SUSE, that we in this way are able to manage the Kubernetes cluster where by 6 is running. The architecture is very simple and very simple, not very simple. There is a lot of microservice, but if you extract the implementation, is very straightforward. For example, we have some microservices that publish and that use a publish subscribe bus. Here I put a very teeny part, a diagram with a very teeny part of the architecture, because the architecture is really more complex. Basically, usually we have a MQTT broker that publish the data using another bus here, but I don't want to explain that. The data are collected by a microservice that we call collector, that makes some pre-elaborating this data before, and then publish the data in a standardized way on a common publish subscribe bus. It's interesting because in this part, we can transform, for example, the data. We can decorate data with other data that comes, for example, from, I don't know, weather services, for example, because, for example, we are working on a system that need to know the weather forecast, and we are able to put the data that we are collecting with the forecast of the data, and then in the rest of the platform, the other flow, we are able to manage the data and correlate with the weather forecast. Okay. Anyway, this one is based on binding of Dapr, and this one is not a nice thing. I spoke more about that. Okay, I'm sorry. Then I need them to touch the touch. Okay. Another thing that we have created some common microservices that manage the information that we collect and the relationship between the devices and the components of the devices. For example, we have a microservice that we call Things that manage the topology of the devices with a graph databases that we are able to manage all the object is built and the relationship between the object and the places. For example, we put the object in a place, we are able to manage different data for different time zone. This one can be interesting when we need to aggregate data that comes from East Coast or West Coast, putting together data that are, the midday is a midday for every time zone, right? Is something that I have not seen is that we have a customer that are using device in every part of the world. We have customers that we have devices in South America, North America, Asia, Central Asia, East Asia, and so on. India, depends on the customer. Then there is, for example, another service that we call Archiver that save the data, the raw data in blobs or files when you have a lot of data. If, for example, I put this one, we have another service that collect the events and save it in a SQL database, but generate alarms, for example. Why I put this type of service here in this diagram? The idea to explain that we can add microservices. We have a set of standard microservices, but we can add microservices in for the customer, specific for the customer, without changing the architecture. And we are able to be very elastic and we're able to improve the application, to add a new feature in a very easy way without changing anything. this one is one better. I'm personally a fan of public subscriber architecture. Even the public API that is a sort of very small API gateway, talk with the different services to create a standard API that will be used by the application. Our standard application, that is a PWA application for managing the platform, is use the same API that some vertical application that we built for the customer. Why vertical application? Because, for example, if you make an application to manage a stove, you need to create a remote control, a mobile application for the remote control. The mobile application for remote control must have some market information and functionality internal, right? And we need to use the same graphical language of the customer. Our customer is the device producer, right? We need to give more services to the customer, to the end user. For example, for our stove, our pellet stove, for one of our customers, we have a lot of customers make pellet stove. We have created some hints that are bound to marketing campaign. They're bound to the usage of the stoves by the customer, the end user. Explain to the user how to save pellets and to have less pollution and to have a better relationship with your customer. Okay. What we like about Dapr, okay? I make a sort of investigation in our programmer, and I ask her what they use, okay? Okay, the sidecar pattern is very appreciated because solve a lot of problems, especially to identify where the microservices are placed. It permits to the customer, to the programmer, to work on mockup of the side of the other services on the personal PC. Okay, and this one was very appreciated. Another thing they appreciated was this gRPC and protobuf API coupled with the sidecar pattern for the same reason. And this one is really appreciated by our programmer. Here I have a programmer that is in the meeting that I want to interview after that. PubSub model is very nice and it's interesting because the binding, we can use different type of implementation. And the implementation layer is, for us, is transparent. For example, we can use MQTT, Redis, or Kafka, I don't know. And this one can be interesting because sometimes the customer have different requirements. For us, they are transparent. Even for the same thing for the state store, that basically we use Redis and Postgres, depends from the state that we were to save. But this is another thing that was very appreciated. Second store were very appreciated by our system manager because they are able to hide the credential to the programmer, really. And this one can be useful. And they're appreciated by customers, especially customer more concerned about the privacy of data, like health customer. Okay, the bindings. So many of these advantages are bound to the bindings. Okay, because this one really hide the implementation layer from the programmer from it. The Kubernetes operators too was appreciated by our system administrator because they are able to simplify a lot of deployment and then they are able to automatize a lot of operation on that. I think that you use Dapr, probably you agree with me. Okay, I explained that after some investigation, we choose Dapr. Why? Some of this one was already told, but I try to explain to repeat. We like a lot the independence from the system and the integration with Kubernetes, because we think that Kubernetes is basically a sort of standard that you can find everywhere. And this one is another nice feature for us, really, because we are able to answer to many customers and without change. For example, we have customers that are using Azure, a customer that are using Amazon, a customer using I don't know, some virtual manager, like I don't remember the name, but the most famous, that have a Kubernetes implementation too. In this way, we are able to work without any problem for us. From the commercial point of view, was very nice. Okay, Envoy 6 is mainly developed in C#, but we have some modern written in Java. And the ability to support different languages is another advantage. Because we are able to use a different piece of code written in our 25 years of operativity, right? Activity. I explained before that the standardized way to expose a consumer API was very appreciated by our programmer, because gRPC able to buffer gateway to permit to different parts to work together. And then we have some data analysis in AI that are written in Python, and the support of different type of language is very important, because we are able to seamlessly integrate the Python code with our C# code. This one make happy our data scientists too, and they are able to work together with the programmer without problems, like because when we explain to our data scientists all they need to expose what they do, they're able to write a lot of interesting code that we are using. For example, in our system we have a concept of augmenter that is something that adds some virtual sensor into the device, right? The device collect data from sensors that are internal in the device, and then we manage these devices into our digital twin, that is the digital representation of the devices. But we are able to extend the sensor with virtual sensors. Some of these virtual sensors I created using machine learning, for example, written in Python. And when we look at the digital twin, the digital representation of our device, we have the data that we have collected, and the data that are calculated using the data that we have collected, or the data that comes from other services like a weather forecast. In this way, you can have a complete representation of your devices. For example, we are using that in a sensor that put in some cable of electric lines to understand if the cable is have a correct position. Can be that the trace was not in correct position, for example, because there is some problem with the floor, the ground, right? And can be, or there is a lot of wind, for example, and we are able to understand this part. And there is some machine learning that are able to predict some behavior in some situation using the weather forecast data and the data that are collecting from the cable, the electrical cable. Okay, another thing that was already appreciated, the support for patterns. For example, PubSub. Patterns are appreciated by the programmer because they have a standard way to make the things. They don't need to think too much about or to make the things, but about the problem. They need to think about the problem, really, not about the details. And this pattern are not tied using binding and other mechanisms to the underlying implementation technology. This one is another thing because another important thing because we are able to create a solution, a custom solution, a double quote custom solution for the customer without changing our code and without changing the way to manage that code. Because it's true that we need to manage, for example, different type of implementation for the queue, but we are able to manage the solution without any difference between the technology. It's not so true, but if you pay some attention, you can get this result. Another nice surprise was the Dapr can be fast and can scale a lot. I explained to you that we have several. What? Oh no, not me. Okay, sorry, guys. Okay, I talk about a lot about SADC architecture. By this, by what we have told now, our solution, our application is adaptable on different scenarios. Cloud infrastructure, small server, local server, and then we can run a small subset of the system on the product application into edge devices. And this one can be nice because you can have a sort of pre-elaboration of the information directly into the device. And this one can make the cloud or the server solution smaller and lighter, right? You can have some reacts, some events that you can manage locally. Here you have other problem, other example. Okay, we have some disadvantage too. So few. For example, the learning curve was steeper than we expected. Nothing dramatic, but I plan to use this technology. Some weeks into this migration, not really migration into the fifth stage of the project, and we spend more time. This one was basically on the junior program because they have some experience on microservices, but with Dapr we were able to push this type of model a lot more, and they need to change the way of thinking a lot. It's not true for the expert, the senior programmer, but this one for the junior programming. Another problem that we found, they missed junior programmer basically don't have today a deeper knowledge of the networking technology like TCP, for example. When you use sidecar to have a good knowledge of the networking can be useful, and they need to learn something of that. But really is something that we are able to address in very short time. Then our system engineer need to work a lot on Kubernetes, but this one probably is not really a problem, but Kubernetes is very difficult to learn, as you know probably. And with this, we push the use of Kubernetes a lot more. This one is bound to our previous experience too, because we have some solutions that are running on Kubernetes, but Dapr and a couple other products make us to work a lot more with a deeper knowledge about that. Yeah, in the meeting, I have one of my programmer that I want to give the voice to him if you want to tell something about his experience. That I think is interesting to hear his experience from a programmer point of view. Federico, can you talk about that?
Yeah. Working on the Numbrai product. I was the first in the company to start seeing and try to use Dapr by integrating with our services. After the somewhat tiring start, I managed to become familiar with how to use Dapr until I arrived at a well-defined structure for each services we need. It has simplified many processes that would otherwise have been expensive to implement from scratch, such as the management of state store or pub sub, allowing us to integrate them in a simpler way. It also become easier for us to test and debug the operation of services by managing to start only the necessary pieces. In addition to the fact that the internal communication between the various services has become even faster. And then I managed also some PR in the Dapr code. So a few things like the docs or I opened some issues about the .NET code. And I'm very proud of it because I can develop with Dapr way easier than before.
Okay, yeah, this one is permit me to introduce another nice things about Dapr, that is the open source model. We can contribute to the open source model. We can take advantage for the other people that contributed. Really, yeah, we are enthusiastic by Dapr. Mark know that because the first time that we talk, yeah, I think that he was able to understand my enthusiasm about that. It is something that we think that working with the community to make some contribution with the community is another nice thing. Conclusion, then if you have a question, I'm here. Okay, the first time is Dapr is very compelling. I'm here to tell you that, but probably I don't need to convince you if you are here. Then we have, I talk about Nuboy, right? Nuboy is our IoT product. But the idea is that we are extending the use of Dapr in our consultancy activities too. We are using in some vertical project, we are integrating Dapr with Java, Apache Camel, for example, in some project of integration, and with other things. We have, for example, an integration of Nuboy direct with Salesforce, and other things like that. Vertical projects basically are projects that integrate our IoT with the line of business application of the customer, but not only that. We are moving other solutions to Dapr now, and I think that we will able to reach the same type of result. Okay, then we are contacted by some other companies that need to develop some solution, for example, some industrial IoT solution, and we are trying to push, and we have success in that to use the Dapr to this company too. At the beginning, we need some. We get some perplexity, right? And they look at us like we come from Mars. After they explain to make some example, they are completely conquered. Another nice thing is that we are able to build a composable solution using Dapr. Our Nuboy is really a composable application. It's like to buy a kitchen, right? That you can choose the elements that to implement your kitchen, right? And we can have this type of result, the same type of result using Dapr. For us, is a system to manage a very industrial approach to design composable application, and I think that is a very nice result of that. The idea is to have a high-quality solution using industrial approach, using components. The components in this way are a set of microservices that we developed. It's not a microservice that we developed for the the solution, and we are able to compose it using Dapr. Dapr is our glue, perhaps, that we are able to put in, together this type of service. And then another nice thing is that programmers love Dapr, really. If you talk, I call Federico to talk about that, but I think that his opinion is completely shared with the major part of programming. Okay, we have some programs that probably are not agree, but they are very few. But really something that were really loved by programmers. Okay, this one is...
This is a great story, Massimo. We're getting close to
this one.
time.
If you have questions, I don't know, I'm here.
Yeah, I think it'd be great to jump in and ask a few questions at this point. Thank you for such a great overview. It's great to see the flexibility of the programming model, the use of pub sub, and the fact that you put different brokers in there. Yes, and you use different pub sub brokers.
Yeah.
The mixture of the programming languages, and the fact that you put it in a manufacturing scenario, both on premises and in the cloud. And the adaptability of it. So great case study about how you've used Dapr in many different ways.
Yeah, when I finished the document about the use case, you can find more details about that.
I'd love to open it up to any questions that people would like to ask to Massimo on anything about their implementation, how they use Dapr, just to see if there is anything that people would like to ask. If not, post the questions in the chat window. And Massimo, as he said, he's going to be writing a case study. He's going into a bit more.
I see the question. We use Dapr Actors not in the web framework. Yes, we use Dapr Actors too. We come from Service Fabric. Actors was another thing that we push us to evaluate Dapr. Okay. After that, okay, they are very useful. Dapr Actors can be useful in some things. The usage in the Boy 6 is a little bit less than the Boy 5, but for sure user. Workflow, no, because workflow is something that we are exploring, but not yet. No, okay, okay, this one is correct. Kubernetes is better, they're just different than Service Fabric. Okay, Kubernetes is moved the burden of manageability to the system administrator, right? And then Service Fabric is more to the programmer. Okay, I think that we are able to divide better the roles, and Kubernetes have a lot more activity into the world, and yeah, I think that Kubernetes is better, but Kubernetes is not simple. This one is very difficult to manage. I talk about that. Yeah, operator was very appreciated, but Kubernetes is a sort of beast that you need to manage. But the advantage to use Kubernetes really is that you are not bound to anyone.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for your time. It's been amazing hearing your story, and would love you to come back maybe sometime in the future and tell us even more about what you've built, and look out for the case study that we're going to publish with you in the next few months. So thank you, Massimo. We appreciate your time.
Okay. Another question is, work on my machine? Yes. If you have 32 gigabytes, you are able to, of RAM, you can able to develop, but you run on 80 gigabytes of machine.
Oh, okay.
80 gigabytes of RAM, right? Okay. Okay, sorry.
Great. Well,
okay.
with that, I'm going to just switch over to Cecil, because we got a little bit of things to close out with here on where we're going to do. But thank you, Massimo. And
okay, I greet you and thank you for your time.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Massimo. All right, so I'm going to talk really quickly about Dapr Day. I'm going to switch over to my screen, and apparently I need to give it access. Oh, that's not going to be fun. Let's see what happens. It's saying it needs to get access. Well, so Dapr Day is coming up next month while I try to give this thing access to my machine.
Let me share it.
Is it sharing?
I can share.
Oh
you.
yeah, that'd be fantastic. Let's do that. So what I was actually going to do is pull up the website. So if we head over to the CNCF community site, there's actually a list of like all the different speakers and sessions and folks that are going to be speaking at Dapr Day, and I'm sure y'all are going to be super excited about it. So Dapr Day is happening on February 21st. So you can come over here to the link, you can register. I'm sure it'll send you email notifications and calendar invites and all of that type of stuff. But what I'm really most excited about is like hearing from the different speakers and different folks in our community that are going to be talking about Dapr Day. So as you see, as we scroll down here, we see all these different speakers from various companies, which is great because it's always interesting for me to see how many different folks are building Dapr, different industries and things of that nature. If we go down a little bit further, and I think we should be able to see the agenda. There you go. So the agenda's there. I believe it starts at 7:00 a.m. Pacific time, which should be, I think it's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So depending on wherever you are in the world, make sure you come here at the right time. But as we kind of look through the agenda, as you can see, we have tons of great sessions. We have ones talking about running Dapr-based applications in production, which I'm sure everyone wants to know about. .NET Expire, which is one of the new really fun and interesting things coming out of the .NET team. Talking about things like tracing and tons of amazing stuff in here. I'm going to let you go ahead and you guys can go ahead and look through it. I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'm not going to read through all of this. But one thing I am excited about is that Mark and I are going to be hosting. So make sure that you're here. Make sure you register and get ready for Dapr Day. Again, that's going to be on the 21st of February. And with that being said, I'm just going to hand it over to Mark so he can go through some of the community things.
Excellent. Thanks. Let me start sharing as well. Here we go. So let's quickly do our regular round of community content. Starting with the blog post, I found 4 pieces of written content. First, the Harnessing Dapr, a practical guide to setting up and implementing Dapr in your Java project. That's a nice getting started one with Dapr and Java and using the Redis as the state store. Then a blog post by Bilgin and Ibryam about different Dapr deployment models, because as Dapr advances, also the deployment models on where Dapr can be used is changing, which is very interesting. Then on LinkedIn, I found a post from Robert about how to build solid, resilient, and durable workflows with microservices. So this actually doesn't use Dapr workflows, but is using Camunda, but then combined with Dapr. And actually invited him to join one of our next community calls, so he can share his knowledge about this. And the final one, this is about the project Dapr Shared. And this is already also shared in an earlier Dapr community call. This project is a Dapr sandbox project that uses Dapr not in sidecars, but in Kubernetes daemon sets. But now this repository is updated, and there's quite an extensive README that really explains how to actually get up and running with this. So probably a blog post will follow as well, but the README is already a very good starting point if you're interested in this. Okay, let's move on to the YouTube content. So last week there was a Digress webinar that was about a gaming concept, like a Tetris clone that uses Dapr compatible API calls. So have a look at this. And by the way, I'll share all the links in the video description, but also in the show and tell channel on Discord. Then I've created a video that explains how to contribute to the Dapr documentation. So we always are looking out for new people to contribute to Dapr, and Dapr docs, I think, is a great way to actually start contributing. The repository also has a dev container now, so that makes it really easy to start contributing to the Dapr docs, because you don't need to install anything locally anymore. Then there was a video on the .NET Learners House channel about microservices using .NET 8 and Dapr. It's quite a long and detailed video. And the final video was actually about one of the Dapr maintainers, Alessandro. It's in Spanish though, so I haven't listened to this one. Then if you look to socials on Twitter, so someone was really proud that their first PR got merged in the Dapr Dev project. So congratulations, Pratik. It's always nice to see that, as well as we heard from the other developer from Tempestive. It's always great to see people contribute to the Dapr project. Then the KubeCon schedule is announced, and we saw some people being very excited about their talk. So this is a tweet from Oleg that will give a talk with Alice about Dapr Dev and about Dapr and test containers. Then talking about KubeCon, there are quite some Dapr sessions at KubeCon. So there are 3 Dapr sessions on the KubeCon main event. But there's also like co-located events, and this is the schedule of App Developer Con. So there are actually a lot of Dapr related sessions on App Developer Con. So yeah, if you're planning to attend KubeCon in Paris, there's be a lot of Dapr content there. There's going to be a webinar tomorrow from Bilgin Ibryam about Dapr as the ultimate microservices framework. So if you're interested in that, make sure to follow this link and register for that. And I think there was one more left. Yeah, so this is a message from Chris, the CNCF CTO, that made an update on the CNCF landscape, which also very prominently displays Dapr. So that's always great to see. So I will make sure all of the links will be in the show and tell channel on Discord. But if you find something, if you create something, please make sure you share it in the show and tell channel as well. And last but not least, if you're new to this channel or new to Dapr, feel free to claim this Dapr Community Supporter badge via this QR code. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. With that, as always, we'll open it up for a few questions inside here, because there's always time to kind of, if you feel as if you want to ask anything that's top of your mind. I noticed there's one question here, and that's from Megan, that says, "Hey everyone, I'm new to this community. Can you guide me how to contribute to the Dapr project?" Yes, we love new contributors to the project. As Mark just pointed to you here, we're starting to put a series of little videos up about how to contribute. One way you can get started is if you head over to the docs here, and you see underneath the contributing guide here, and it gives you a little bit overview of how to get involved. It depends where you're interested in involving. The easiest place to get started is with some of the docs, because you can just sort of contribute things inside there that you've done. Then there's the quick starts, a little bit more involved there because you have to write some test cases. But here we give you an overview of how to do contributing in different areas. As Mark mentioned, one place is if you go to the overview of contributing inside here, and inside the the docs contributing guide inside here, this is where his little video is you can watch. So look through this guide. Another place, as Mark mentioned, is of course go to the Dapr community on this URL, join here, and just feel free to ask questions. That's the best place you can do. Another question is, do you know if the community call, if offhand, that discusses a distributed schedule and what will enable? Yes, we will. The best thing to do with the distributed scheduler is that we can bring that up in a community call. So let's book that in as a community call. The main contributor to that at the moment is Cassie Coyle. So she's developing that and working on that. So we can get her to come on and talk about the distributed scheduler. It's currently under development. It's not going to make it into 1.13, but it'll be in 1.14 for certain. So let's book that in a community call, maybe in a couple of weeks' time. Meanwhile, ask questions on Discord for that. But yes, it's working on it right now. And Arta mentioned that inside there. I don't know if you want to jump in at all, Arta, and mention anything.
Yes, I think we are, just give a heads up of where we are at. We have like a new control plane that we're working on. We're working on the trigger part of the distributed scheduler to trigger multiple type of workflows. And to answer your question about what it will enable, it will basically enable you to schedule inside of cron and have different type of triggers back into the sidecar. So some examples, you can have that for reminders, for active reminders. We're going to completely replace how active reminders work in a way that's more scalable. without changing the interface. So it won't change how your actors is implemented, but the engine behind it will be using distributed scheduler. We're also going to enable distributed cron as a feature. So you can have a regular cron to trigger different APIs in your application. And in the future, we even envision also allowing the distributed scheduler to connect to your pub sub. So you can kind of have messages to be delivered on a pub sub topic on a cadence. So yeah, there are different scenarios we're going to enable that. And then, yeah, we believe that's going to be a fundamental part of Dapr. Another one is that we also thought about is how distributed scheduler can enable delay pub sub. How a message can be scheduled to be delivered at a future time, and the distributed schedule will guarantee that future time will trigger. So anyways, like just 4 scenarios just out of box from what we envision. So it's going to be a big enabler for Dapr.
Yes, and that's great summary there, Arthur. Just to be clear, it's a brand new API. So think of it as an API that will be there to schedule events. So schedule either messages or start a workflow in the future or anything else like this. So that's the idea behind it all. It's a very common ask and a very needed API with inside the Dapr.
So does it rely on an external scheduler of sorts? So the way we are designing that, and we have a POC that we're working on right now, and we have an open proposal in the proposal repo, is that the vision is to use etcd in embedded mode. What does that mean? It means that every instance of the scheduler will also be a node of an etcd cluster. So the state itself is included in the scheduler control plane. So you don't need to have any kind of external state store. So Dapr will remain independent of your choice of state store. In this case, we're going to use embedded etcd, which means like it runs embedded in the binary and not as an external deployment. So that was the vision that we're implementing, and so far we have been successful in like having the jobs created and scheduled, and now we're working on the trigger part.
Fantastic. Well, we're at the end of our call. Thank you for joining everyone today. Thank you, Massimo, and for the use case study. Great update about where we're in the Dapr ecosystem. And as always, post your questions and updates on the Discord channel. And see you next time in a couple of weeks. Thank you.